This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts in 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts in 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts in 3 Counts starts now.
What up, though, everybody? It's another Tuesday. That means whether you're watching, listening, however the fuck you're consuming it, you're here. This is Knockouts in 3 Counts, and we're happy you're here. We got a lot to talk about. We had AEW Double or Nothing. You had XFC 44, where I might add we went 3 for 3 on the night. And then, I mean, there's so much to talk about with the MMA world crossing into the pro wrestling world, with Jimmy Smith now being the new commentator of Monday Night Raw. And I would like to think that I thought he did a pretty damn good job, but there's a lot to talk about. So I thought I would reach out to the fellow Blue Wire Podcast Network and hit up the homies from the We Got Next or NXT podcast. How you doing, brother, man?
I'm good, man. I appreciate the invite. Happy to be here. And, just to clarify something, we are the ones that want the smoke. You're not going to steal our bit. I am one half of the reigning, defending, undisputed podcast tag team champs.
You're talking about all these titles and shit. You see this here? I already got the title. I already won. And my shit is signed by Stone Cold. So you already lost.
How you going to have Austin sign a belt he never won?
Because it's my favorite belt. That's why. And I do what I want.
I guess I'll allow it. I'll allow it since it's your show.
Look here, that belt has been signed by the Nature Boy. Or no, I take that back. Damn it, I didn't get it signed by the Nature Boy, but it's been signed by his daughter. It's been signed by Booker T. It's been signed by the Godfather. It's been signed by Road Warrior Animal. Rest in peace. It's been signed by all kinds of people. So don't hate on the gold.
Hold on. Real quick. Of all the people you just named off, how in the bluest of blue hells did the Godfather, how did Papa Shango of all people sign that belt? And did he have his holes with him?
Well, I mean, he was the Godfather one day and Papa Shango the other day. It's like he did the Clark Kent and changed in the phone booth. It was all good. We were there at Astronomicon, and, well, it looks like the other half to the We Got Next podcast has now decided to join the party. I'm going to let him get his deal together, and we'll bring him in here in a second. But while we wait for your co-host to join us, tell us a little bit about your show. Let everybody know where to find you and what the hell they can expect for you guys to be talking about if they tune in to We Got Next.
Well, when you tune in to We Got Next, you're going to find myself and Sid breaking down NXT every single week with a bit of a flair, no pun intended. We come through, we recap from top to bottom. I am usually right. Sid hates it. My line is tapped, according to him. Somewhere in the PC, they just listen into our podcast because everything I say is gold and money. I might as well be Cameron Grimes. But we come through, we talk shit, we break it down, we make it relatable for either the most diehards and the most people who are just like, I kind of like wrestling, like I'm getting into it. Because only on We Got Next will you find a comparison where I call Chelsea Green mid, like Nas's discography. Come on, where else are you going to get something like that? We bring pop culture, urban culture to wrestling. We have fun with it. We're for the people, of the people, by the people, we the people. We're at the Jack Swagger.
All right, well, where can they find you on all the social medias and all that good stuff?
We are on Twitter @_We Got Next because whatever asshole has We Got Next has not used it in like 10 years. So if you happen to be watching this, change your handle. I want my handle, please. Thank you. And we will be coming with the Instagram and the YouTube page soon. We're kind of inspired. I kind of watched that intro, and I got to say, I will give you guys props. That is one hell of an intro. One hell of an intro. We're going to do it better, though. So, but, I like it. I appreciate the inspiration.
I mean, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. You could try, but, I mean, hey, even the fine people at Busted Open were saying how nice our intro was, homie. So You come with it. You better come with it. You can come with it, but you got to come correct. I'm gonna need your homie said to get his mic hooked up. It still says device is not connected. So I'll bring you in as soon as you get your microphone fixed, my man. But
He's working on it.
I got you. But yeah, man. Like I said, we had a big weekend in the world of pro wrestling and MMA. Since you guys are more of the wrestling ilk, obviously, we should start on the wrestling end. But since you and I have been flapping our gums for a second, Corey, you're not the biggest wrestling guy in the world, but you watched Double or Nothing with me.
I did. You
So
drug me out the house on a Sunday to watch some wrestling, and it wasn't the worst time.
Hey, man.
It wasn't the worst.
Those are
time
called
in the world.
hostly
It really
duties.
wasn't. I mean, I enjoyed some time with the homies, of course, and had a good time in that regard, but the entertainment wasn't the worst thing in the world. It was funny ragging on it a little bit with your mom, but, you know, other than that, it was a good time, man. It was a good time. Like, I'm excited to break down the fights or matches a little bit. We're here once we get into it.
Well, what did you think? What did you think of the show as a whole?
It was entertaining.
Overall thoughts on the show.
To like sum it up in a short, sweet, it was good. I wish they would have used the bigger venue a little bit more. Like, I get that the Stadium Stampede was like supposed to be like their big hurrah with the big stadium in the background shit, but I wish they would have used it a little more, played into it. I feel like the Daly's place was a little bit small in that regard. Like, it kind of, even though the fans were bumping in that place.
Well, it only holds 5,000 people, Corey.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they could have, should have, would have bumped it up a little bit better. And
You couldn't, though. That's the thing. They've been running there this whole time. They've been staying there because that's their home venue, because that's connected to the Jaguars thing. They're already they've already announced they're going to be in Texas, I think, this week.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, like, I'm more excited to see what they do with the bigger venues. That's what.
Okay.
That's how I should have, I guess, worded it.
Okay, I get it.
More excited. Like, it's not necessarily like a bad thing. I just feel like it would have been better with the larger crowd.
I agree, but that crowd was going ham.
That's what I'm saying. They were hype in there. The fans that were in attendance were definitely hype. Overall, I would give it, like, as a non-wrestling fan, I would give it a solid, like, 7.5. It was a good way to spend a Sunday. I would have done it again. Am I, all of a sudden swayed drastically? Not necessarily, but one thing I can say that I feel like is an interesting point from the non-wrestling fans' perspective, I felt like that was just as great, I guess you would call it, as like what I seen when I was watching one of the single nights of WrestleMania. I honestly feel like that was the case.
So that's a good point, right? And I'm glad you said that, because there was a guy on Busted Open today that talked about the same thing. Now, I too ring the bell. There's no bell for me to ring right now, but I have been to an AEW pay-per-view as well as I've been to the last 3 or 4 WrestleManias. So, here's the thing. I think the reason you see such a difference is because of the types of crowd. Here's why. In my opinion, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this one as well, especially with you guys being an NXT podcast, because I feel that they kind of garner the same type of audience. I feel like the biggest reason you see that is because and this is why I want you to go all out. Corey, I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. I can promise you. I'd literally shake hands over it. I guarantee you, if you go, you'll have a damn good time. Right. The reason why I say that is because I feel like they're two different kinds of crowds. At an AEW crowd, I feel like everybody is there to get rowdy and have a good time. Hence why when you see Jericho come out, or now they've got Jungle Boy having the song that he's got, the crowd sings along. The same reminiscent of how NXT had been for a very long time. AEW has that kind of crowd, which in my opinion, from being there, it does make it a lot more fun, even if the shows aren't always the best. So I'm going to kick the same question to you, sir. Do you think
Yep.
What do you think the biggest difference is that we see in these crowds? And do you agree with Corey's point that you think it would have kind of heightened some of what we saw, with a bigger crowd?
The thing with AEW is they're kind of tricky because their crowd, for the most part, I say about 90% is a diehard indie darling type crowd where it's like, hey, I watch New Japan. Hey, I watch Ring of Honor. Hey, I watch PWG. How dare you not know who Danhausen is? How dare you not know who PCO is? How dare you not know pick your favorite insert wrestler right here. And it's like, I get it. I appreciate it. And I love it. So they make a difference where with a lot of AEW crowds, you're not going to get the what, who, those type of chants, which is kind of what NXT is. NXT and AEW have the same similar fan base, which is why you had the quote unquote Wednesday night wars, because they're diehard wrestling fans. Sure, you have a few casuals mixed in there because it is what it is. People will see, hey, WWE. Oh, yeah, I remember watching Rock and Mankind. Yeah, I'll go watch. Those are a lot of people that see Raw and SmackDown. NXT is like, hey, man, I've been watching Adam Cole since he was in PWG, through Ring of Honor, through New Japan. I am invested in this. AEW has the same thing. And you mentioned the stadium, like Daly's Place. It's an amphitheater. It's literally attached to Tia Bank Stadium. Yeah. It holds 5,000. The thing is, if you put that inside Tia Bank, which holds, I believe, 72,000 off the top of my head. I used to cover the Jaguars. So I want to say it holds 72,000 for a football game at capacity, give or take. Right. I think it can be modified to 90,000. It's, what do you do? How do you section it off? Do you want to go?
Do you really think that they could draw that many though?
I think,
like, don't get me wrong, they're hot, but do you think they could sell out like a WrestleMania?
If their Twitter numbers are real, I do. If their Twitter numbers are real, the way that they are trending every single week, I really honestly do. Because that's one thing that blew me out the water when I started doing this podcast and really starting to do my digging into wrestling and stuff. AEW is trending in the top 10 every single week, and it doesn't even matter if it's a slow week. So,
I mean, wrestling's pop culture. We're in a wrestling boom. People love wrestling. They just won't admit it. A lot of people.
Yeah, but
that is a very, very, very good point.
Yeah, but the fact that those numbers actually back it up, the fact that people are actively talking about it, and the numbers are there to actively back it up in that regard. Kyle, you've made the point many a times that WWE, their YouTube channel was one of the highest YouTube channels of all subscriber counts and stuff like that. But when you're seeing it in the AEW and the NXTs and stuff like that, you're talking, like you said, the segmented fans of that. And they're still the ones that are trending every week and doing these kind of numbers. I truly do think they could fill a place like that if they put the tickets on sale at a reasonable price. Yeah, absolutely.
They could, but
I think they got to build their name more, because they're trending. Don't get it twisted. And the more big names they bring in, like what they're doing with Sting, I think it's possible. But a stadium So here's the thing: stadiums, from a arena to a stadium is a very big jump, bro.
Yeah,
well, we're 20,000 to 70,000. But like he was saying, you could even segment off because realistically, you don't need to sell nosebleeds and shit like that. You can just have the lower bowl and stuff like that, and that'll cut your total number down to a 35 or whatever the case be there. And that's where you're at the more reasonable number, in my opinion.
But here's the problem.
I can agree with that.
And you're in Detroit, you're a Lions fan, and this isn't to be shitty at all. But Ford Field, with its empty sound, does not acoustically sound the best, correct?
Correct.
So
I was at WrestleMania there, though, dude. It didn't sound too bad.
Right, that's what it's full.
With those kind of events. Well, surprise, surprise, Lions fans, we don't get to watch the game unless the game don't sell out. They black us out. So these games sell out all the time, surprising or not.
All right.
Dude, that's the thing. Detroit sports fans are the most fickle / loyal fans ever. And I say that faithfully because they all bitch about them,
But if you threaten they're going to take them off TV,
I'm gonna go buy my ticket.
This is how much of a Lions fan I am. I'm an active hat collector. I have like probably 100 hats sitting next to me roughly, and I own 2 Lions hats, and I live in Detroit. So, yeah, they're not my favorite team in the world. That's for sure. But with the venue in mind, what were you saying with their venue in particular?
It's like, all right, cool. You cut Tia Bank in half, you section it, you put a ring in the middle, you back off a corner, you top off, and you get it down to about 30,000. You're outdoors. Daly's Place is an amphitheater, so it's built with a semi-cover for acoustics, for music, for performances. Tia Bank, everything goes up and out. Yeah. It just doesn't look good because I don't know if you guys have been watching any of the NBA. Yeah, fans are coming back, but if you look behind the benches, most teams still have their tarps over it with logos and ads. It's just not an appealing sight. Whereas for Double or Nothing, you look around, it's like, shit, this is 5,000 people, but it could look like 10, if not more.
Yeah.
And
well, that arena, dude. Well, go ahead. I was just saying that arena, dude, it's too, like you said, because it's open from the sides too. Like you can't really see that on TV so much, but it's fully open from the side, so it's coming in, and all that noise just filters out the sides.
Yeah, it's just the perfect setup. So, and I will say, if they would have tried because AEW, when they ran their TV shows, they stayed out of like the bigger arenas, like Raw, SmackDown would be in, and they hit some of the smaller arenas where you get 10,000, 7,000, 8,000. I think they may have done 15, maybe 20 at the most. And it's like, if they would have known that, let's say, things were going to be as open as they are now, especially Vegas, I think if Cody and the Bucks and Kenny and Khan knew, I want to bet they would have ran Double or Nothing out the MGM Grand and would have sold it out.
It's just so here's my thing, and this goes back to what we were talking about why they didn't, use the bigger venue in the first place. For those of you who are watching, popping in, stopping in, if you guys got any thoughts on AEW Double or Nothing and the venue or any of that kind of stuff, feel free to let them know in the comments. I will show them up here on the screen and we will get to them. But that being said, here's the thing. You got to realize, we're all just coming out of this pandemic thing. I feel like a lot of the major buildings aren't really opening up for the big events yet. Like here in Detroit, they have Little Caesars is on the docket for the WWE Coming Home tour. So, it's starting to get back there, but I think like them announcing that All Out was going back to Chicago, I think is a sign that they're ready, willing, and able to start going everywhere they can. So I think this one was kind of just, we know how to, how this building's going to work. It's our building. We can do it our way. But I think by the time you get to the next pay-per-view for All Out, obviously they're going to be in Chicago. But I think from here on out, it's going to be back to business as usual. Because, obviously they know they could have had way more than 5,000 people. Double or Nothing sold out super quick. And with a bigger arena, they would have most definitely sold it out, especially with how hot fans are, whether we're talking wrestling or MMA for that matter. They're clamoring for that. But now that we're talking about Double or Nothing, let's talk about some of these matches and, what were some of the things that stuck out to you first and foremost off of this card?
That a 60-something-year-old Sting looked as good as he did.
Hell yeah, I said the same thing.
Point. Very good point.
That Cody Rhodes is Triple H, and I don't give a damn what anybody says. And Kenny Omega's just an asshole, which we all knew. And I'm really confused with this whole Pinnacle Inner Circle feud. Like, I have a clue where it's going, but in my mind, it's like you worked backwards. Like, you screwed the pooch. And also, AEW's women's division, combined with using that NWA women's title, they've put on some bangers, but the division lacks something. I'm just glad Britt Baker is getting a chance to run it.
Well, there's no arguing that AEW's women's division lacks. I think that's evident. But I think them putting the title on somebody like Britt Baker, I think Britt Baker could easily be the face of that division for sure. And that only sets up for her and Thunder Rosa to have a full-blown feud and really, put out a banger.
Oh, yeah. Because that unsanctioned match was.
You give them a long, yeah, exactly. That unsanctioned match was a banger. So if you can give them a long, drawn-out feud, man, they're going to do crazy. And speaking of Thunder Rosa, shout out to Mission Pro Wrestling. We were just down there for MPW Locked and Loaded. Make sure if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. Go back and check some of the interviews out, like the one with Marty Bell, like the one with we've had Marty Bell on here. Who else? The Woad, the Weapon of Mass Destruction. We did the damn thing. So check out Mission Pro Wrestling. You heard right, kind sir. Her name is the Weapon of Mass Destruction, and she destructed Alejandra the Lion in Texas with the Weapon of Mass Destruction. So I mean, that thing can be deadly.
Oh man, I mean, hell, with a name like that, you have to, right?
Have you ever seen her? Have you ever seen her assets?
No, but I'm finna do some Googles on the side real quick. So
see, this is why you gotta. This is why we know you love the boys from Knockouts and 3 Counts. Oh shit! It looks like we might have a fourth to the party. Give me 1 second here, ladies and gents.
Oh, am I making the hot tag? Oh. Yes,
hot damn. Hot damn. Better late than never. We have the other half of the We Got Next podcast. We were just getting into our breakdown of Double or Nothing, and we were talking about how now this can set up the beautiful reset and a full-blown feud for Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. And I was informing the fine folks that are going to be watching, listening, consuming this shit. We were reminding them that we just got back from Mission Pro Wrestling and Thunder Rosa's show out there. And we were informing your co-host of one of our recent past guests, the Weapon of Mass Destruction. So now I've sent him on a Google wormhole after this show's over.
No, I'm doing it now. She does indeed have a Weapon of Mass Destruction.
See, I told you. Now you got to go watch the video. See, now you got to go watch the interview after this because you can see it for yourself in the interview with us. You see, there's a reason they pay me to do this shit. Anyways, now that you've come in, I'll leave that to you. So we were just getting into AEW Double or Nothing. What were your overall thoughts on the event? What were the things that stuck out to you on AEW Double or Nothing?
Okay, I'll leave you with. Let me see what stuck out. One, Jacob's gonna hate this. Stadium Stampede is still undefeated.
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
It's a great concept, great match. Two, and this might be an unpopular opinion. Sting can actually still go a little bit, man.
Oh,
I
feel like that's the sentiment from everybody right now.
Yeah. He did some things that impressed me. Like you might cringe a little bit and think like, oh shit, he's gonna hurt himself. This is the one that's gonna put him out. But no, he can still go a little bit. They spaced it out right. I think that's a good thing.
That finish was fire too, dude. The way he caught old boy and did it so clean into the death drop. That Corey, when I tell so Corey and I said, just to catch you up, Corey was not the biggest wrestling fan. Corey is more from the MMA side, as our show covers combat sports as well. So
got it.
I had him watching AEW with us, and that was the thing that he was saying too, was just how Sting had come out. But Corey, when you and I talk off the air and I tell you that there's levels to this shit and you can tell the difference between the ones that are really good. You see, when somebody can pick it up like that, go back and watch some Sting stuff if you ever get a chance on YouTube. Go back and watch some Sting stuff from the 80s or even in the 90s.
Right,
dude was the truth. I mean, people can hate, but there's a reason why he's still around. Well, he had good. I mean, Sting, I feel like, is so underrated, and I hope that this run in AEW gives him the opportunity to do what I think he wanted to do with that run with WWE before he got his neck broke. But go ahead and finish before I so rudely cut you off.
No, I mean, that was some of the main things. It was, I think Sting can absolutely still go. I love the Stadium Stampede concept. I mean, going back looking at pay-per-view, I think Brian Cage and I'm losing the name here.
Hangman.
Brian Cage.
Yeah, Brian Cage and Hangman, great fucking match. Really great fucking match. Once they actually decide to really put a singles belt on either of those guys, man, look out. Both of those guys can actually go. And it just shows you how much talent they have and how, I don't want to say AEW spread thin, but not every guy gets shine. And some people really deserve some shine. And that's just a testament to that to me. I thought it was a good card, good pay-per-view. And what they're doing is good.
So I can agree with that. We actually got to chat with Brian Cage last year at Warrior Wrestling. And that was something he talked about. He was there with the FTW title, but he didn't wear it out to the ring because you can't carry. I take it back. Excuse me. He didn't have it with him, and that was why he didn't want to talk about the FTW title in our interview with him. Which, if you haven't done so already, hit that damn subscribe button and go back and check that out, along with the interview we also did that day with the filthy one, Tom Lawler. But yeah, that was something he had talked about. And with Hangman, I feel like there's been so much stop and start, with them playing, whether he was going to be the new leader of the Dark Order and all that good stuff, man. It kind of, I feel like he's one of the best talents, bar none, that they got in that company. I mean, I think, our buddy Dom that was here sitting there watching with us, I feel like he hit the nail on the head. I mean, he may be the perfect person when that time comes. He might be the one to take that belt off Kenny Omega. So I'd like to see him do something more with both of those guys. I feel like maybe we could be starting to see the start to that because I feel like we might be seeing an end to Team Taz soon. I feel like Team Taz didn't kind of play out the way they wanted it to because it seems like it's already kind of starting to fold, which is a bummer because I love Taz. I don't know.
It looks like the tea leaves on imploding. Yeah, the implosion of that, because it's kind of, what is the purpose of the group, man? I feel like AEW, what they do wrong is like everybody's a faction. There's factions everywhere, and it almost doesn't make sense. Like the point of Team Taz, when you look at it top to bottom, is that you got guys who can be main event stars right now, and they're kind of just in limbo. Like they pushed the Powerhouse Hobbs thing for a little bit. We know Brian Cage came in and won the Casino Battle Royal last year. And then you got Ricky Starks, it might be the best promo in AEW. He might be. So you just got these guys just, for lack of better words, they're kind of just stuck around each other, and they need to separate.
I agree. Go ahead, Corey.
As like a non-wrestling fan, somebody that, very rarely takes it in, that's one thing I completely agree with, actually. Taking in the pay-per-view over the weekend is the fact that, like, the Hardy Boys, they got their own faction. They got the Inner Circle. They got, like you said, too many factions, man. For somebody who doesn't regularly follow it, it's like, I feel like, to your point, a lot of these guys would be better serviced on their own.
Yeah, I mean, I like the reintegration of factions, but I agree with you. I mean, in a way, a lot of them. So, like, even with Death Triangle, I mean, yeah, we've seen, Pac and, Phoenix team up, but you don't really see them together as a group as much. I think it's going to be the implosion of Team Taz for sure soon. I just hope that this gives Brian Cage, more of a chance to, really shine. But, that brings you, we talked about Sting and we talked about that match, but, that brings up another good point in and of itself when you think about Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. When you think about a guy like Ethan Page was part of a damn good tag team in Impact with Josh Alexander, the North, who were arguably the best tag team that Impact had for a long time. And then he leaves to come to AEW, and then now look, he's already in a tag team again. So you left one tag team to go to another tag team. And, I mean, I get it. You want to get everybody on the show, but I mean, that's where, there's only so much time. But then again, AEW's got like 6 TV shows now. So
yeah. Like, what was the purpose of what was the purpose of the Scorpio Sky heel turn for him to just come out here and get nerfed by Sting? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
But did you really think he was going to beat Sting, though?
No, but I mean, there was a moment where I thought that he was going to become the TNT champion. They had that moment where they really pushed them to the moon and had the packages, the backstage vignettes, and like I think that's one of AEW's cardinal sins. Like, yes, these belts have prestige, but it's like they'll get you hot on the guy for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then they'll get their moment, the match. They won't win the match, and then they just bottom. They bottom out after that. You don't really see them. Then they just tread water. I think that's it. And so to that point, I think another show, maybe not like how WWE has the brands, but another show will probably help guys be able to really flex their creativity, because some of these guys just, I don't know why they make the decisions they do.
Hey, man, at the end of the day, you got to remember they're still a young company. I mean, they got that new show that they just brought in the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, to be the commentator for. What were your guys' thoughts on that? Do you think that that's a really big move for them? For me personally, I mean, again, and listening to Busted Open and hearing them talk all the time, and not only that, we talked about this a little bit in our episode with the Woad, because Mark Henry had brought her up on Busted Open, the episode right after Mission Pro. And that's the thing I feel like a lot of people don't realize is the knowledge that Mark Henry brings and the help that he's going to be behind the scenes. Because I was listening to him talk this morning about what his role is going to be with AEW. And he said he wants to get back in the ring, as does Big Show. But Mark Henry specifically said he wants to be in an executive role. He wants to be the guy that's helping put some of these people on and finding some of these people. And I mean, his track record already kind of speaks for itself, because when you think about it, Bianca Belair, found by Mark Henry. Jade Cargill, found by Mark Henry. Like, I mean, you've got names that are arguably some of the best athletes you've got in all of wrestling, and they're found by Mark Henry. So I think the impact that he can bring is not only going to be just name value wise. I think he's going to be a big asset to them backstage. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like Jade Cargill, like you said, Bianca Belair, Braun Strowman. It's just the man does not miss, and if he misses, it's not like a huge miss where it's public knowledge. And more importantly, Mark Henry offers something the Big Show doesn't. Who is the Big Show found? Like, what has the Big Show done other than be the first challenge for somebody to be like, oh, okay, you're a worthy champion after you win a belt?
But I don't think he's coming in as a talent scout, though. Big Show only really came in as a commentator, I believe.
Right, but it's
they have different roles.
But it's like, what are you getting with the Big Show? Because you get a commentator.
The name value, for one, like his name value off.
Is that paying off when you stick him on a YouTube show that you have like YouTube shows?
But you say that as we're live on YouTube. If you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. But yeah, man, like you say that, but YouTube, I mean, think about how many shows, not just AEW. AEW has YouTube shows, which are essentially their other shows, which they're putting their world champion, tag team champion, TNT champion, women's champion. If they weren't that big a show, they wouldn't be putting them on there, one. And number two, I mean, look at what we've seen. NWA's whole model was through YouTube until they switched over to Fight TV. And then you've also got, MLW, which MLW Fusion is still on YouTube every week. So, I mean, at this point, I don't even think that that's a fair criticism, though, because YouTube really is becoming a big part of each one of their markets. And I mean,
but I hear you. But here's my counter to it. For MLW and for NWA, it worked because it was the only product you were pushing. It was the only place I had to go find to watch it. I could carve out some time and put it on. With AEW, you have AEW is considered the big leagues. AEW, WWE, big leagues. Step below is Impact, and then step below is Ring of Honor, PWG, so on and so forth, NWA, MLW. With AEW, I think a lot of people look at it as like, why are you on YouTube? Yeah, WWE has their digital, but they're not putting anything on YouTube. A lot of people look at Dark Elevation like you look at Superstars, Main Event, 205
That's what they're
Live.
supposed to be, though.
Right, but
they're not looked at as like their big shows, though.
Right, but WWE's not sending Seth Rollins, Roman to 205 Live to Main Event. but you're sending Moxley. It's like you're trying to make those YouTube shows into something, and that's fine. I get it. You want to grow your brand. It makes all the sense in the world. Yes, Big Show Paul Wright does add name recognition, but also on the flip side, if I'm a WWE and AEW wrestling fan, and those are the two companies that I watch and support, 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, an hour of NXT, that's 6. AEW Dynamite is 2
hours.
That's 8. I'm sorry,
There's
2 hours,
2 hours on
right.
NXT.
You're
Come
right.
on, man. You're the
You're
NXT podcast. Just kidding.
Hey, I only get home to catch 1 hour live. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then I go back and watch the other hour the next day. So I break it. But still, that's 7 hours of TV from WWE. Dynamite is 2. Being the Elite, which a lot of people, honestly, you kind of have to watch Being an Elite to keep up with some of the storylines in AEW.
I'm being honest, I fell off Being the Elite a long time ago.
So have I, but there's some things where you're like, wait, what? And you're like, okay, Being the Elite, cool. I'll figure it out. That's what, an hour, 45, depending upon the episode. So there's another hour, 2 hours. Then you have Dark, you have Elevation that are running like 2-3 hours. It's like, at what point do you have the energy to consume all of this? If you want to grow and showcase these people, like, it's great. Yeah, get your green talent on, get them some chance to work. Makes perfectly good sense. But it's like, where do you have the time for this?
Here's where I would counter that helps, right? So we all know that WWE has the Performance Center, which is where they're bringing a lot of their people in for them to get their, to get their reps. AEW has something similar, I guess, in a way, if you want to talk about it, with the Nightmare Factory that Cody's helping run, but it's not on the same scale as a Performance Center. With all these extra shows that they keep adding, like Dark Elevation, AEW Dark, all these things, you now have a place where, okay, I saw Joe Blow out on this indie show, and I keep hearing about all this buzz that he's got. Okay, I can bring him in here or bring her in here, and they can wrestle on our YouTube show. And if I get a good buzz on that, and that also gets them used to working for TV, because you got to be able to work for all the same cameras. So you basically have a homegrown AAA system that is getting views every week, because whether it's on TV or YouTube, I mean, they're still getting 100,000 views a week on it, whatever it is. So, I mean, if you got people that you don't have time to showcase on Dynamite because they don't have another show that's on like the mainstream, TV yet, that gives you however many hours you just listed to, okay, this guy did good. This guy did, because we've gotten to interview people like Lindsay Snow. Who else has gone on there? Our buddy Travis Titan, who hopefully will be coming back in a couple weeks, been on there. I mean, Chandler Hopkins. These guys are all getting opportunities, and I feel like if AEW didn't have that, you wouldn't have that. Ability. But I also do agree. I understand there's a such thing as too much content, but also to your point that you made earlier, I think there's so much wrestling that's going on right now. We're already kind of at a point where you kind of got to pick and choose what you want to watch. You basically are choosing at this point what you want to watch based upon your palate. So I mean, at that point, I feel like we're already at a point where there's wrestling on overload. So you're going to be picking and choosing as it is.
I mean, this is true because I really don't watch Raw unless I'm absolutely bored and need something in the background because it's been trashed for basically a year. So I get what you're saying, but it's like you said, it's content overload. And even if you all you watch is AEW because you follow Kenny, the Bucks, Hangman, Jericho, if you're just a Jericho fan, and Cody, you're still looking at 12 hours, 10 hours a week. And I mean, let's just call it what it is.
But I mean, I feel like WWE is doing the same thing, though.
but to WWE's credit, it is kind of separated where it's like you have Raw, you have SmackDown, you have NXT, you have 205 Live. Like, there's no real crossover. I'm getting a lot of the same things spun through with AEW, where it's like, maybe I just want something different. Like, cool, I'm watching Dark Elevation. Cool. Why am I watching Moxley against a random indie star? Yeah, it's a great match, but it's like, I need a John Moxley break, AEW, because you don't build anything off of it either a lot of times. Like Scorpio Sky's whole run, was basically done on AEW Dark. He gets put on TV, gets a couple weeks shine, and then he gets nerfed more or less, and the momentum is just dead. And now he's teaming with Ethan Page. And it's funny because, like we mentioned before, Ethan Page leaves the North, arguably one of the best tag teams of the past 10 years, definitely Impact's best. And it's like, cool, I'm going to AEW. I'm going to be a solo star. Nah, we're going to stick you with the man that just said hell with his tag team with 20 plus years. And you two are going to be a tag team.
I feel you, bro, but I feel like that's something we're seeing in wrestling creative altogether. I really do. I feel like that's the thing. I feel like at least for nobody else but me, as a wrestling fan, I've gotten to the point where I look at wrestling creative like this. There's going to be some shit I like. There's going to be a lot of shit I don't like. But at the end of the day, right. I feel like all of them. I'm not even just talking WWE, AEW, because I could literally sit and pick one out from all of them. Okay, you want to talk about Impact? You did this whole thing about the Forbidden Door. We're the Forbidden Door. I'm going to bring in Impact. How come I've not seen any Impact female stars on AEW at all? Not one.
How about
not their champion?
Impact stars not named the Good Brothers.
Right, but that's my point, right? That's the whole thing. You're here. That is an area where I will say I feel like they definitely could capitalize more from. We've already seen what them integrating NWA did by bringing in Thunder Rosa.
Yeah. Right.
Impact has got Deonna Purrazzo, you got Jordan Grace, you got Tasha Steelz, you got Kiera Hogan, you got Havoc, they've got Impact may have the best women's roster other than NXT maybe. Yeah, NXT might be the only one I could see that has a better roster.
Yep. No
if you're AEW, why are you not okay, you've got Kenny going over there to Impact, so I guess Impact is getting their rub on the male end that way. But why not bring in the females? That can be how Impact makes their stamp, because it's no secret that they've got a better women's division. But hey, that's just my thought. But since we're talking about the AEW women's division, what are your guys' thoughts on Britt Baker being the new women's champion? Corey, you've been quiet for a little bit. What are your thoughts on the Good Doctor getting that title at Double or Nothing?
Let me start my point with I thought the Dennis character. I mean, I know that's what she actually.
That's
is.
Legit. It's not a character, dude. She's
gonna say that's the 9 to 5.
Yeah, I know that is a legit thing, but the fact that she had the teeth emblems and stuff on her boots and shit, I thought that was a good little touch. I enjoyed that part. But as for the match, man, I thought she put on. I was pretty impressed. I mean, anytime you see a wrestling match with women and they get down to the point where one of them's covered in blood and shit at the end, it's usually a pretty good sign that things played out in a good way, unless somebody got a bump they weren't supposed to or something like that. But in this match, man, it lived up to my expectations would be the best way I put it. Maybe even a little higher than that, I guess.
Okay, what are your guys' thoughts on the Good Doctor getting that title?
Right move. Long overdue. I thought a year ago that when you look at AEW's women's division, if we're just not talking about work rate, she's probably the best character on the entire show. You can feel her character. It's believable. And nobody else in that women's division has the mic skills or has that aura like Britt Baker. So it's really
Rosa, but she's not technically with AEW.
Right. And I know at the time, I know there were some people tweeting during the match that this is the perfect time for that double turn. And I thought they were teasing it at certain points, with Shida being more aggressive. Shida's a great champion. And but
I feel so bad for Shida, dude. I feel so bad for Shida. I'll talk a little bit more about that after you finish your point, but I feel so bad for Shida.
No, I think she had a really long run. She carried the division. It's just that for the women's division to really reach new heights, you need that face of the division to really stand out front and center. That's Britt Baker. So at least she'll be able to carry the division promo-wise, TV segment-wise, to where, hey, these women can be in the main event type of thing, as opposed to just having 2-3 minute matches here or there on Dark and then on Dynamite. I think that's going to change now.
I agree with that. Jake, what do you think about Britt Baker getting that title? And for those of you joining the stream, we are talking about your new AEW Women's Champion, the Good Doctor, Britt Baker. If you guys got any thoughts on Double or Nothing, please let us know in the comments. So what are your thoughts, Jake,
I mean,
on
looking at AEW's women's division? There's like 3 women in that whole entire division that, from character and in-ring put together, that could really be worthy of being the champion carrying the division. It's Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, if you actually put her under actual contract or work out something more than this handshake deal, Big Swole, and Statlander. Those are the only 4 that are actually good enough where you're like, hey, we put the belt on you and this will actually get some eyeballs on it and grow the division. Love Sheeta to death, one of the probably second, third best pure in-ring wrestler in AEW. It's just, what's your character, Sheeta? Like, why do I care? Like, you had a little hot bit with Nyla Rose because it took you to the edge. It made you become more aggressive. But it's like, okay, what else? And it's like, you did the Nyla Rose bit twice. And it was Nyla and her name's escaping me. It's like, all right, you played David Goliath.
Shanna.
It's just, yep, thank you. And it's like, okay, cool. Now it's like Nyla Rose, cool off, get Vicky Guerrero off my TV. We talk about too many factions, too many managers. It's the Japanese influence, but not everybody needs a mouthpiece. And we can touch on that later. It's just Britt Baker, perfect person. Now, the only problem I have with Britt Baker is the pop that she got when she won. Well deserved. Her hugging Tony, it makes sense because if you go back to right about when the pandemic started and Britt was slowly
everybody knows
heel,
they're tight off the camera too, man.
Right, but also you could play into it because she was like, oh, weren't you working at Starbucks? Weren't you a manager? Like, she could play into it. You have that. It gives you an out in a way. It's just like, holy shit. Like, did we unintentionally turn her face? Or did the fans turn her face?
I think
How are you going
I think
to get
they
out
already
of this?
turned her. I think that match, dude, after that match, I don't think nobody was hating on Britt Baker or Thunder Rosa after that match. I think that was an organic turn, dude. And as you just said out of your own mouth, the proof is in the pop when she won. Like, the fans went ape
I mean,
shit.
she deserved it. Yeah, but is she going to be successful as a face? Or is she going to have to play?
Why does she got to be a full-blown baby face, though? Why does she even got to be a tweener? Why can't she just be? I mean, because look at even like, and I'm only using this because she basically, you know, bit a little of his style off in the promo with the, you know, the era before me of 316, and this era is DMD. I mean, look, dude, Stone Cold wasn't a straight baby face either.
Sure.
No,
and that
Austin
worked just fine.
Just pulled up and whooped ass and went on about his day. But here's the difference.
Here's my thought with that though. So why then, especially with somebody who can talk like she can,
right?
Why then can she not be, you know, why can't she be the tough badass? But then let's not forget, like I said, she's the good doctor. She's smart. Use her brain. Shit, if I was as smart as her, hell yeah, I'm gonna use the brain every time I can. Get out easy, bro. I'm telling you from a boxing background. Let me tell you, I'm get in, get out. I don't give a shit how I gotta win. So
I get that.
I mean,
she did try to cheat in the match a couple times. So
I mean, like I said,
wasn't a full face turn at all.
No, and I mean, is John Moxley really a full baby face? The guy who like cuts people open in every match?
No, Moxley just doesn't give a shit. But again,
right.
perfect example. Moxley and Austin are anti-establishment. They're not even faces or tweeners or heels. They're anti-heroes. They're just like, I don't give a shit. I'm just here. You have what I want. Who is or what is that for Britt Baker? Because
I think now is the time
I don't need the fans. You got to figure it out quick is all I'm saying. Because
I feel you.
If you're not careful, you're going to stick yourself in a spot where it's like, shit, what is she? And more so, did we take the fangs out of her unintentionally? Drew McIntyre, Scottish psychopath, into whatever the hell we've been dealing with for the past 2 years.
I would argue that he might be on one of the best runs of his career. I mean, shit, the man held the title for the whole pandemic.
It's a great run, but look at what Drew was. It's like, shit. It's like, is this
but you got to remember, WWE, I feel like that's not a fair comparison. Here's why. Because WWE is going to change you into what they want, period. You're not going to get the same guy that was outside of WWE. I don't give a shit who it is. Whether you're talking about The Rock, look at Pat McAfee. Listen to Pat McAfee on his radio show, and then go listen to Pat McAfee on SmackDown. Now, I still have enjoyed him on SmackDown. Different. I enjoy him on SmackDown, but you can see certain things are watered down. My point being that I feel like you're not going to be able to get quite exactly what you would have got, outside of there in WWE. I mean, case in point.
Out.
I get your point.
Keep the edge. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, hey, like I said, now you've got a chance to showcase her, so let's see what they're going to do with a good doctor. All right, Corey, I know you're a fucking football fan, so what did you think of the Stadium Stampede?
Yet again, not to keep my answers so simple, I enjoyed it. It was a good match. I wish they would have did.
What did you enjoy? Point some things out.
Let me get there. I feel like I wish they would have did a little bit more with all of them being in the camera at once. I get the whole match of why they did it with being almost single matches, but in a spread out manner, I guess you could say, because they wanted to take advantage of the whole venue. I love the little, even though I'm a Michigan boy over here, I love the appearance of Urban Meyer. I thought that shit was pretty funny.
Man, thank you brought that up, because there's something I got to ask you guys about what Urban Meyer pulled. But go ahead, Corey.
I love the whole going through the coaches' rooms and all that shit. I thought they were going to break one of the glass panes or something. I wish they would have maybe did that to kind of up the ante, just that one more tick. But, we can't get 90s wrestling anymore, so I'll take what I can get. But with that being said, the match itself was good. I enjoyed a lot of the spots. Some of them, of course, a lot more than others, I guess you could say. Can't necessarily put my thumb on an exact one. I feel like the Jack Hager, Jack Swagger, or whatever, I feel like his spot was pretty good. There were certain spots that were good, but for the most part, I felt like as a whole, it was a good match. I enjoyed watching Jericho kind of beat the shit out of him. It was entertaining. It was entertaining. I mean, best way to sum it up.
All right, that's fair. And with the Stadium Stampede, I'll be honest with you. Going into this one, dude, I thought the Pinnacle was going to win. I don't know, man. I really kind of thought the Pinnacle was going to win. Not to interrupt you real quick, but that was one question I was going to ask you guys before we got off with the whole talks of factions and stuff. Are you guys happy we got to see the continuance of the Inner Circle, or do you wish it would have came to an end that night? And go ahead and go on with your point, but I just want to know that answer in there. Phil,
well, I mean, I don't think you can. I don't think you can discontinue the Inner Circle. I feel like, I don't know how many of those guys will swim without Jericho being the mouthpiece in the lead. I think he's still doing more to help elevate those guys' careers as the leader of this faction. Of course, and also I think that's the first AEW faction technically, unless you talk about the Elite.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of keep it going. It's not time yet. Maybe when Jericho takes a break, leaves for some point, then you start to see those guys flex themselves a little bit more without the need of the group. But I don't think that time is now. They cooled off Hager completely. They cooled off Sammy after the things he said on that podcast for a while. Now he's starting to get his gear back. Pride and Powerful. I don't think they've been in a tag team titles match early AEW days. So they kind of are surviving by the Inner Circle, if you ask me.
All right, Jake, what about? Go ahead.
Not to jump in real quick. What's the younger dude's name in the Inner Circle?
Sammy Guevara, which you can check out our interview with Sammy in the YouTube.
I thought he was a good standout. I feel like out of Jericho and everybody else, he was the one that stood out to me the most. As even though he looks young, and I agree that he maybe needs to like grow a little bit more. I don't know about his necessarily like character and stuff like that, but just as a man, he maybe needs to grow a little bit more to take like a leading role position. But as his talent and what he was able to do on the camera, I thought he really shined out. I just wanted to get that point in before I forgot.
Bet. Jake, what about you?
All right, so just gonna ignore my co-host and everything he said because he's wrong. So the Inner Circle is actually, as a whole, is doing less good than it should be. Like they should be better than what they are, because honestly, we mentioned this before Said came in. They're booking this backwards because if you do Blood and Guts, which is basically their version of War Games.
Yeah.
War Games was the end all be all to everything. Like you just kind of like, all right, boom, we're gonna go our separate ways. You whooped our ass, so on and so forth. Why are we running this back in Stadium Stampede? Because in my mind, it's like, cool, all out.
To be fair, Blood and Guts got screwed up because of the pandemic. I feel like they had to deliver somehow in an Inner Circle Blood and Guts match because that was what was originally supposed to happen before all the pandemic stuff happened. So I feel like they kind of had to. And with the way that one finished, I mean, okay, so you beat them, but like you said, there was no stipulation on it to where, okay, if they lose, they got to disband. I feel like that's just another layer to it, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it's this big hype match. And yeah, it was supposed to be Inner Circle versus the Elite. Got it. Pandemic was like, no, forget that. We'll do something else. They found a perfect way to work to it. They didn't shoehorn anything. It makes sense. It's just wrestling logic. Been watching wrestling all my life. Hey, War Games ends it. So to go into Stadium Stampede, to have the Inner Circle win is 1-1. I feel like at All Out, you're going to get Jericho, MJF, one-on-one with some kind of stipulation. Hopefully it sends Jericho off to go tour with Fozzy. And I just don't like how we got here. It's like you worked in reverse, almost like I'd rather Stampede first and then Blood and Guts. And then you go Jericho and MJF
I can see
solo.
that point.
And also, when was Hager ever hot? Like you said, when was Hager ever hot?
They were building him as a monster at some point. Then him and Jericho were going to do.
When he first came in, they were making him like he was fucking people up, man. So, and especially you got to realize, I mean, whether he's fighting good guys or not, I mean, the guy's undefeated in MMA too.
That's
right. Yeah,
I mean, and they want to. They don't
muscle like. That's what
right. Of course he's gonna be. Of course he's gonna be the muscle. I mean, he's the MMA fighter. He's over here fighting on Bellator. You can't have him not look tough.
Right. I just would never call him hot. Is my whole wording of it. It's like he's.
I get you.
He's Sean Spears. He is Sean Spears. He is hot by proximity. Because let's be honest, Inner Circle is Jericho.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
Disrespect to Sean Spears. Disrespect.
You want disrespect? Sean Spears is the world's greatest jobber.
Damn, dude. For those of you from AEW, we love Sean Spears here.
That's disrespectful because, like, when you think of jobbers in 2021, I think of guys like John Morrison. He's a jobber now. Whether we like it or not, he's a jobber. He's a jobber. He's here to lose matches, looks stellar. That's a high class, high expensive jobber, John Morrison, and Sean Spears ain't no damn John Morrison.
I mean, you did use two good. I mean, if you were going to use analogies on that one, I mean, hot damn, between the two that you guys picked, I mean, I wouldn't classify either guy as a jobber, for two reasons. One, John Morrison, I can never consider him a jobber for all the stuff that I've seen that guy do. Now, do I like what he's doing right now? No. But Sean Spears, I feel like he's one of the guys, like you just mentioned, with the Inner Circle, who, you know, they're benefiting from being with the Inner Circle. I would argue that even though MJF is by far the young guy of this group, I would argue that everybody else involved in that group is going to benefit from being with them outside of a maybe FTR, because people already wanted to see them. But
yeah,
I mean, I mean, I could see that point. And speaking of FTR and speaking of tag teams, you know, what do you guys think about the tag match between the Bucks? How are you?
I said, how are you? Come say hi.
But yeah, I mean, that tag match to me was one of my. How are you?
I said, how are you?
So for me, man, that was one of the better matches of the whole night for me. I was most looking forward to that one. I thought it had good energy, but before I say all that, if Mark Henry can do one good thing for AEW, here's what I hope it is. You ready? Why was the referee not counting one time when the Bucks got in there? Does anybody explain that for me? I loved the match. I had no issues with that match. But dude, I asked Corey, I literally was like, why is he not counting? They're just letting them jump Mox and Kingston. And they can't even do nothing about it because the ref isn't even counting. So I had to get that out.
You ever watch ECW back in the day?
Of course.
Yeah, so every match basically became like no disqualifications, basically off top. And you watch New Japan.
Then why didn't you call it a no disqualification? That's all I'm saying. If you said that, I have no issue with that.
I mean, look at the rest.
I have no issue with that if you say that before the match.
Again, look at New Japan, where the Bucks and Cody and Kitty came from. The rest will literally let you pull out a table and be like, "Yeah, I'll allow it." They Mills Lanes the shit.
Right, but you can't even use that excuse, and here's why. Because the number one thing they touted when AEW was starting is the rules are going to matter. Wins and losses are going to matter. You can't just lose all these matches and keep winning. Well, how do the rules matter if you can come in a tag match and the referee don't even count? He didn't even count once. He didn't count once. And poor Mox and Kingston, they just took turns getting jumped at the end of it until finally. Now, again, that was one of my favorite matches of the whole night. Mox and Kingston definitely did their thing too, which shout out to AEW because one thing they're doing way better than WWE and nobody can even try to dispute it. Tony Khan going and buying these theme songs and letting him come out to Wild Thing and the Onita tribute. Dude, that is hard. I don't care who you are. I guarantee you that crowd was singing it full blown. That's one thing I would love to see WWE adopt from AEW. But back to the tag match. What your guys' thoughts are? I agree. So what are your guys?
Let you take this one.
We were saying, what are your thoughts on the overall thoughts on the tag match
between the Bucks and Mox and King? Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to lie. That's the one match I didn't get a chance to see.
Really?
Yeah.
I highly recommend going back to watch that one. I enjoyed it. Corey, since you're the non-wrestling guy, I'll leave that to you then. Where does the tag team match rank for you on your matches of the night?
Matches of the night, I would say it's somewhere in the top 3. I don't want to give it an exact placement. I don't want to go 1, 2, 3 on the night or anything like that. But that being said, it was
He's up scared of the hot seat.
No, putting assignments on stuff like that. But with that said, I feel like it was an entertaining match. I enjoyed, even though, like you said, that ref was kind of ridiculous with the no counting and shit, and the fact that it was so 2-on-1 so often. It kind of I felt like Kingston was doing good, but that being said, he was doing good and then also getting his ass beat at the same time. So it was like
that's Eddie Kingston in a nutshell.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was good in that regard, but yeah, in the sense of you're trying to make it the official tag team title match and shit like that. They could have did better in that regard. That's for damn sure. In actually keeping it a real tag match. That's one thing, like, still to this day, that when I do watch wrestling that I do enjoy is like when you see people like crowd somebody, keep them in their corner and they're just tagging out, and they're switching them and keeping them held in the corner and shit like that. Those kind of stories in the match are entertaining, and you don't get to see that shit when it's just 2-on-1 the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay, Jake, what about you? What did you think of the tag match?
Man, I loved it, and honestly, I talked to one of my boys about it going into the pay-per-view, and I was like, for the love of God, can we send Moxley home now? Like, I'm pretty sure Renee's about to pop within, like, the next month. Like, can we send John home to be a family man temporarily? Just temporarily. And my boy's like, no, you got to give Moxley, he's hot, let him get the belts, let him have a month or two reign, and then beat him down and send him home. It's like, it makes no sense for the Bucks to send him home. I was like, all you got to do is send Kenny and the Good Brothers out to ruin Moxley and Kingston's moment, and it makes all the sense in the world. But I loved it. I enjoyed it. Thank you for getting Kingston out of that singlet and like putting him in something that fits him. And hey, I'll run it back. We can run it back on a Dynamite. Make it a street fight.
I'm totally with that. I'm totally cool with seeing them run it back. I mean, the disrespect to the Jordans. Damn it. Oh, yeah, we got to fight just over the Jordans. We got to fight just over the Jordans. I mean, I just bought a pair of ones a couple weeks ago, and I happened to look at those. Now, that's a little too rich for my blood, but, I mean, hey, you do you, bro. I am not mad at you. Matt and Nick, you go buy some more Dior ones because we know you got the money. You do your thing. But before we get off AEW Dynamite, you can't talk about a card without talking about a world title match. Mm-hmm. So, again, Corey, I will let you start, sir, and I will finish with my thoughts before we talk about the monstrosity that is Jake Paul and Logan Paul. But what were your thoughts on the world title match between Freshly Squeezed? Now, wait a minute. Since you said before on our preview show with Ryan McKinnell from Busted Open, which if you guys haven't checked it out, do so. It's available on all the podcast platforms, and if you're on there, we appreciate you. Anyways, with Ryan McKinnell, you said that you wanted to know a little bit more about Orange Cassidy. So after that match, what are your thoughts on Mr. Freshly Squeezed?
Just to clarify what you said, I wanted to know more in the regards of, I was hating on his name so hard, and I still do. Like, who the fuck names their character the first name Orange? Like, I just feel like that's just like, as somebody who's not like in the game and like reads the card as it's about to like be laid out, and I'm like, Orange, huh? Orange Cassidy? Like, you didn't even like try to pick like a cool last name or something. It's just like, I get where with the character it fits. Like, he's trying to just be like the smooth like operator and shit, and like honestly, like his character with like the whole like hands in the pockets thing. When you told me about it, Kyle, I thought it was gonna be the dumbest thing in the world. I really did. I'm like, who the fuck like makes their gimmick like I'm gonna be in the middle of the match and put my goddamn hands in my pocket? It was actually like pretty funny. It was like, I honestly thought his performance was the shiner of.
I was gonna say, now my question is though, did his athleticism knock you out of your socks like it did the first time I realized that he could actually wrestle? Because the first time I actually saw him like bust loose in front of me and do all that shit, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Where did all this come from? Because I was there at All Out last year, dude, and the dude did his damn thing. So what were your thoughts once you saw what he could actually do in the ring?
In that regard, I would say it was like, how do I word it properly? He definitely like surprise would be like the best way, is the fact that, yeah, for like by far the like skinnier, smaller man out of all three of them, like probably was undersized by about like 60 pounds, if I was to guess. He still brought it, man. He still looked pretty decent. He still did his thing. I mean, it wasn't like, I would like his overall performance, I would give like a solid 8.5, 9 out of 10. Like, and it's hard for me to score a 10. Like, you got to like literally knock my socks off to get a 10. And I felt like he did really well. His like whole like I said, I already kind of broke into it, but his gimmick with the whole hands in the pockets and only going when he has to and shit, it sounded so bad from the outside. And then when I seen it, I was like, it works. It worked. That was the
Do you
best way
think the right guy won the match?
I guess would be my best. Kenny Omega reminds me of, if any of you guys have watched Eastbound and Down, Kenny Powers. I feel like that is the exact person that he ripped this gimmick from so hard. Like, if he could have pulled up in a leopard print jet ski, he would have. I felt like that was like what we were seeing in a wrestler form, I guess. So in that regard, like, yeah, he is the typical like A-side wrestler. You know, like, he did a good performance. He showed out. He's really good at making like the big dramatic faces to the camera before he does like particular moves and sets and shit. He did good. Pac, I feel like, was undershined a little bit. I felt like he had his moments and stuff, but he just didn't have enough time in front of the camera, in my opinion. I feel like they could have did more with his spot. But yet, surprise, surprise, Orange Cassidy is my highlight of the fucking title fight, even though I went into it hating so
I told
hard.
you so. I told you was going to be talking different once you saw it.
It was like, it sounded like the worst gimmick in the world, but he pulled it off, so congrats to him.
All right, you guys got next. Well, you're up. What did you think of the world title? What did you guys think of the world title?
I'll be short here. There's not a chance. There was at no point I thought Kenny Omega would have dropped the belt. At no point to either guy. I didn't think that Orange would get a pin over Pac or vice versa. I thought the match was good ring wise. I thought it was kind of corny hitting Pac with all of his titles, because in wrestling theory, you get hit with one title belt, you're out. I thought that was kind of corny. The ending, I didn't like the ending. I didn't like the ending at all. To have that big moment, that big match, these three guys to end up on like a slip roll up like that, they could have had a way better ending than that.
Okay.
I don't think that makes Kenny Omega look good.
I can respect that. Jake, what about you? What do you think?
So, this is where me and Seth differ, like usual. And this isn't like a gimmick of me trying to be a contrarian to him or vice versa. We are just genuinely different like this. It makes all the sense in the world. Kenny Omega's a chicken shit heel. And also, his finisher is the most protected move in all of pro wrestling. Just, hey, get out of here with a cheap roll up. 1, 2, 3. Grab all 1,800 of your belts and run your ass out the arena. Let's keep it moving. Because Don Callis saved his ass earlier because Orange had it won and Callis rips the ref out. And it's like, oh, yeah, Kenny wasn't. Nope, that was a wrap if it wasn't for Callis. So I liked it. The belt spot with all 4 or 5 belts, it popped me, but also I was like, okay, this is a little overkill because, like said, normally you get laid out hit with one belt, you're out. Like, work Eddie Guerrero. Eddie come in, belt, toss it, lay down. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 30 seconds later, it's like you're out. So I get it. I enjoyed it. I didn't see Omega losing. Omega's not dropping any belt until the end of the summer, early fall. You kind of got to get your money's worth out of him holding AAA, Impact, TNA, and what other random belt that he has. You have to get your money out of it. Because if you're in the case of Impact, you need to build up a star to take it off of him. It should not be Moose. It should not be a return. Only person that it should be, that if they're not up and coming, should be a returning Samoa Joe back to Impact. That makes sense. Same thing for AEW. Build up somebody. It's not Orange Cassidy's time. I don't think Orange ever needs.
I think Hangman's taking
belt.
that belt off him.
Hangman should be the feud at All Out. I don't know if Hangman takes it off there. Maybe Hangman takes it at Full Gear. Let's say that Kenny slowly starts dropping belt by belt by belt. He becomes erratic. He becomes this madman. He looks at Callis like, what the hell do I have you around for? Same at Gallows and Anderson. Hangman gets screwed at All Out. You ride it to Full Gear in October, November, and then Hangman finally gets his moment. Let's play lone ball. Let's book it like, since you love New Japan so much, book it like New Japan all the way through.
Hey,
I enjoyed it.
I'm not mad at that at all, dude. I mean, I think Hangman's been long overdue for a while. We got to see how it's going to play out with the whole Dark Order thing, too. But before we get out of here, I mean, shit, we're talking about all this celebrity crossover with Shaq showing up. You got Mark Henry coming over. You got Big Show coming over. Well, we got some fights to talk about this weekend. Last weekend, we had 3 of our guests. Brett Big Dog Martin came back after a 2-year layoff, come back, got himself a dub at XFC 44 on Fox Sports 2 and Fox Deportes. You had the young killer, Austin Bashy, go down and put down the Mennon Warrior from Street Beefs fame at XFC 44. And as we said he would do, Bobby Nash, well, he made it nasty, bro. Knocked homie out. He's headed down to the welterweight finals, and I think, as I've told you a few times on this here show, you might just be looking at your welterweight champion for the XFC and UFC vet Bobby Nasty Nash. That's how we started off the weekend, but this weekend, we got fighting of a whole nother ilk. We might see a massacre on live TV. Because I don't know about y'all, but I feel like there's no way that this fight can go where Floyd Mayweather doesn't have to kill him now. Like, he's got to kill him now. He can't last the whole fight. Like, if Floyd doesn't kill him and lets the YouTube guy go the whole 12 rounds or whatever rounds this ends up being, bro, I can't see it. Corey, I know you're more of the fighting ilk, so I'll let you go first. What are we going to see with this shit show?
I was just about to attempt to look to see how many rounds this is and if this is 3-minute rounds or 2-minute rounds, because I know it's an exhibition technically. So I was about to look up that info just to kind of inform my pick a little bit more, I guess you could say. But either fucking way, I mean, realistically, what the fuck are we about to see? I don't know if you guys plan on watching it or not. I know I will be because I'm a fucking fight degenerate. But, like, man, like, call me stupid, call me whatever. What the hell happens if Lloyd,
it's 8 rounds.
It's 8 rounds, 2 minutes or 3?
8 rounds. I think they're going to be 2 minutes again because it says exhibition again.
Yeah, I figured as much, honestly. But either way, doesn't make too much of a difference. I hope we just see an aggressive Floyd. I hope we don't see somebody who just kind of plays on their laurels and knows that they're going to get.
I hope he makes him look stupid first.
That's what I'm saying. I hope he actually like puts the work on him. I hope we see another round where he just doesn't throw a punch or maybe under 5 and still gets a win because he just completely dodges everything that Logan throws. Would be entertaining. It's one of those matches where like 2 heels meet each other and you don't necessarily know who you want to win, but you kind of want one of them to get embarrassed either way. And I feel like that's the way this match is like trending. I don't feel like Floyd's going to lose this one, especially not against Logan. If he was fighting Jake, Jake's a better boxer of the two. I still don't feel like Jake would stand a chance either. That's for damn sure, but more of a chance, I guess.
Logan's actually got the more experience. I would actually say Logan might be the better.
Hold on. There's not a fighter on the planet that beats Floyd Mayweather.
No. I'm not saying he can beat him. I'm saying out of the 2 Paul brothers. Don't get him mistaken.
There's no fighter that is not a true fighter that's even going to touch Floyd Mayweather.
Fact.
Like there's no chance.
Right. And that's why this shit is so absurd. That's exactly what I'm getting at here. And especially after the whole circus show, I got your hat. Well, I think he's going to take his fucking jaw back home to Las Vegas because I feel like Floyd Mayweather sure made that like it was a disrespect. And if he don't go in there and kill Logan Paul, I feel like it's going to be bad news bears. But I flap my gums. What do you guys think about this fight?
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a spectacle. It's always a spectacle. I think I'm actually more interested in seeing Chad Johnson fight on the undercard. The fight itself between Floyd and Logan, I mean, Floyd is going to be 150 pounds, maybe. Maybe. That's a reach. But he's the type of person that stays in shape year-round. And I know the YouTuber guys. They train with actual fighters, not big names, but they train.
Well, that's what's crazy though. Jake Paul trains with Jalen Love, who's part of the money team. That's what's crazy about this whole damn thing.
Formerly, I don't know if he's a current guy. I don't know if he's current. He's not an active fighter.
Jalen?
He's not an active fighter anymore.
What?
Yeah.
Since when?
He hasn't fought in like 3 or 4 years.
No, that's not true. He just fought a couple years ago before pandemic. He just fought in 19, I believe. It was either 19 or 18 because he was still in the running for super middleweight. That's what's funny about it. The fact that he would even be with the guy who's going to go against Floyd is what makes this fight so fucking interesting to me. Because how the hell is that going to work? I just don't see him coming out to the ring with and obviously this is Logan Paul, so he's not going to be in his corner. He's with Jake Paul. But I find that to be funny. It's totally different setup because obviously he's fighting Logan. But it's just funny because Jake Paul has been training for a good majority with Jalen Love, who all his big wins and his title wins were all under the money team banner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that lends any animosity. The money team thing does more for Jay Leon for his career. But I don't think you're not going to see a knockout. You'll see some clean shots from Floyd. Y'all remember he has the arthritic? Not a chance. Y'all remember he has the arthritic hands. He's older. Was not a big puncher later in his career. Not volume at all. Just more timing, precision. So you'll see some clean shots landed. But I think Logan being a larger man, 200 pounds, he'll get tagged a little bit. Think about how when Floyd, and this is the first thing I think in my mind. Think about when Floyd fought Canelo, how Canelo was so much larger than him, but he was slower, and he got hit with clean shots that you get on the scorecards, but then it's not going to knock him out. He's going to embarrass him the boxing way because he can go all 12 rounds, if not more. And Logan's going to get tired. He's going to get hit a lot, kind of like McGregor did. And, yeah, it's going to be a pretty dominant victory. But
Floyd finished McGregor, though.
Yeah, it's because McGregor gasses out all the time. But
you don't think that Logan Paul's going to gas out with Floyd Mayweather making a miss?
I don't know about gas out, but I'm saying he's just a larger man. I don't think Floyd is going to be able to.
No, I agree. I mean, I definitely think the thing that makes this fight interesting is, like you said, and that's my issue when it comes to all the stuff with the Paul brothers, which we're going to find out if he can really back it up, because now that leads to the other fight with Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. But, I mean, that being said, I mean, yes, there's the big weight difference. That's the biggest thing, if anything, that brings any type of worry to this fight. Is that at the end of the day, Logan Paul and Jake Paul have had some, even if it's only minimal training, and outweigh Floyd by a bunch. And here's a newsflash to all of you guys who maybe haven't stepped in a boxing ring before. Anybody who tells you that size doesn't matter in a fight's a liar. They're a liar. Because he's naturally going to be bigger. But that being said, I still think Floyd's skill is going to obviously outshine it. I still think Floyd could finish him. He's just got to make sure he doesn't get hit. Jake, what about you?
Yeah, everything is pro wrestling. Period, point blank, plain and simple. Floyd is going to do what is best for Floyd's bank account and his bottom line. So if his bank account and bottom line says, I got to get this boy out of here in 4 rounds, Floyd is going to get him out in 4. If Floyd is like, oh shit, I could make more money somehow if I carry this and make him look good enough and set up maybe a rematch, I'm going to carry him. Floyd doesn't give a damn what we think or what. That being said, Floyd better hope he doesn't get hit clean because, like you said, size matters. A heavier person leaning on you, if Paul is able to, might take an effect on Floyd. Floyd does have the bad hands. Floyd is smaller. It might, but there's no way in hell he wins. Floyd's going to win. It just depends on what does Floyd want to do. Because I think Floyd is so skilled and such a high caliber that Floyd has been able to play with his food with the likes of Pacquiao and so forth, and a young Canelo, where I don't think he's going to get caught by Logan Paul. I just don't see it. But if he does, oh, buddy, I'm going to be on Twitter.
Man, you think that
searching Floyd Mayweather and laughing my ass off into the wee hours.
Boy, you think that the loss with Ben Askren was a hit to MMA? Good God! If Floyd Mayweather somehow manages to lose to the YouTube kid, oh my God! But I don't see
It only
any
takes
way.
one.
Look, I agree with you, but I don't see any way in hell that this has happened. I would literally bet my house on Floyd Mayweather.
I just said a snowball has a better chance than hell of surviving.
That's fair. And now it's been said with Jake Paul is going to step in with Tyron Woodley. Corey, do you think that we serve a better chance as MMA fans with this fight?
Better chance? If you're asking me if it's a better chance, yes, absolutely, it is a better chance. Is it like a predetermined outcome type of better chance? No, it's not, unfortunately. And I'm a big Tyron fan. You can look back at my tweets that I posted before his last fight. I was going hard for my boy T Wood. But that being said, man, there's a reason why he was on that losing streak beyond just the fact that he wasn't able to pull the trigger. And I feel like a lot of people are forgetting the fact that he didn't lose in like a got his ass whooped fashion in all those fights. He got controlled and beat up. Don't get me wrong. But in that losing streak, he didn't really get put out, except for in his last one. He got straight put to fucking sleep and left on his face. And
I don't know. Brian Burns is whooping his ass, though.
Oh, Colby,
Brian Burns is hitting him with strikes. Like
Colby was whooping his ass. Burns was whooping his ass. Kamaru Usman really put it on him, I think, the most out of all three, especially being that he was fresh in that moment.
I think that killed his ego, or killed his momentum.
But with all that being said, all of those guys are better athletes, in my opinion, than a Jake Paul. Way more experience in a different spectrum. That's what worries me the most, is I feel like somebody like T Wood, as long as his chin's still there, as long as he's able to take a hard overhand right or something like that from the fall, that's where I feel like the fight plays out.
But can he take one of those, bro? Because if there's one thing you can't take away from Jake Paul, bro, he whopped Ben Askren, okay? Whether that's because Ben Askren can't box or not, that's completely up for debate. But what's not up for debate is that man got hit and he said, all right, look, that man was dead, okay?
But with that being said, anybody with good gloves and good hand wraps can punch a heavy bag.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying that he couldn't. But that's what I'm saying. With a guy who's got a chin like that, he can't take punches like that, is all I'm saying.
I'm curious. I hope
to God he kills him. Please don't mistake what I'm saying. I'm going with Tyron Woodley every day and twice on Sunday. But I don't know, man. With the weight, like you said, with his... Go ahead.
Are you willing to put your dollars behind it? I know you're a gambling man, Kyle. Are you going to be FanDueling this one?
With what they got the odds right now, yeah, I'll bet $100 on Tyron Woodley because he's the underdog.
All right, I like that energy. Keep it up because I'm excited.
I kept that energy when he was fighting Ben Askren. Go back and watch it in the archives. If you're listening to the podcast, listening to it in the archives. There's video and audio proof. I said that I thought Ben Askren was going to win purely for the fact that he had fought somebody, and look what it got me. So all I'm trying to say here is we got another guy with a suspect chin and a kid who, if he can't do nothing else, he can hit hard. That's all I'm saying here.
But he can do more than just hit hard. He has a clean jab. He throws good hooks. He has good footwork. He's actually like
good footwork
for an amateur.
Good footwork.
Yeah, go watch it. Go watch his actual
Man, he looked cleaner than he did last time, but good footwork.
He was fighting fucking Ben Askren. We're not counting.
Is he gonna make Tyron Woodley eat the corner?
Go watch his actual training videos, though. He actually does have clean footwork, man. I promise you, he's in and out with his shot. That's a lot more than you can say for a lot of MMA strikers that have been doing this shit for fucking 15 years. You know,
I agree with that, but as a guy who's coming from boxing, it's a known fact that MMA fighters didn't always take boxing so serious.
Yeah, but my point being, Am I willing to put money behind T Wood as much as I'm a fan? I'm not. I'm honestly not giving favorite, giving underdog status, giving whatever the case. I got that burned bridge one. That bridge was already burnt with the Askren thing, man.
Hold on, that's not fair though. Askren and Woodley are two different things in a lot of ways, though, man. Askren never could fight on his feet.
Never. I went and showed.
He never could fight on his feet. Jake Paul knew what he was doing. That was like. That was like when you had and we could use pro wrestling terms. That was when you handpick your opponent. Yeah, you talk about jobbers.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
As much as possible, he picked his opponent. I went and showed my brother his only UFC win, the Robbie Lawler fight. Dude threw 3 punches the whole fight. So literally, I watched it 2 days. So I know. But yet again, I got that bridge burnt, dude. I feel like Jake Paul's got some hands and he's got some speed and power, like you very well stated. So I hope T Wood lands one of those notorious overhand rights that he's landed his whole career on people. But I got kids to feed, man. I'm more worried about that than trying to lose some money, and I feel like I might do.
So, just for the record, since Corey's trying to make me out like I need Gamblers Anonymous over here, that's not the case because I haven't bet on a fight in like a couple months. So, like, first of all, like, let's just get that out of the way. For any of you who are listening or watching at home, your boy does not need Gamblers Anonymous. I just want to clear my good name. Corey, fuck you. Anyways.
I was just trying to help get a sponsorship. But I guess
now, DraftKings, if you want to sponsor us and give us that code KO3C for 20% off or give you $25 a free bet, holler at your boy. But what are your guys' quick thoughts on this fight? Do you think this ends any different, or do you think T Wood is going to suffer the same fate as Ben Askren?
So Tyron Woodley, those last few UFC fights weren't good.
No,
man had the yips amongst other things. I swear to black, white, and every other color Jesus. If this man rolls out here with the yips against Jake Paul and gets laid out like Nate Robinson, I will give up and be done. That's all I got. Like, for the love of all things that are holy and right in the world, he can lose, but please, for the love of God, don't get your ass memed. Don't get Lion King. Don't get Simba.
No, he can't lose. Don't you even put that out in the ether. He's actually a UFC champion. This man can't lose, or it's horrible for all of MMA.
I mean, put Tyron Woodley. I mean, I guess so. The question is, do we have a little bit of faith? No.
I have more faith in him than I do Askren.
And I love T Wood. T Wood's one of my favorite fighters, but what he's put on display these past 4 years, I actually met T Wood a few years ago when I was at TMG. He obviously just doesn't want to be there. He's just doing it for the money, the notoriety. They support him a certain lifestyle.
You don't think he's actually got beef with that kid, though?
Nope. I think him and Jay Leon jawed at the backstage of that fight. He knows he probably shouldn't fight Jay Leon because it'd be bad for him. So he's going to fight.
Oh, hell
Jake
no.
Paul.
Hell no. If he fought Jay Leon Love would beat the brakes off of Tyron Woodley in a boxing match, dude.
Right. So, like, this one, does he have a better shot than Nash? Let me be clear. That was a dive. That was clearly a dive. That was not a square punch. It looks like because he walked backstage with a huge smile on his face, knowing that
he made $1 million. He made more money than he did in any other fight in his life.
Exactly.
Come on, man. I'd be smiling too.
That wasn't a square punch. He took the dive. He showed up for the fight overweight and looking sloppier than he ever did. But, I mean,
he didn't show up overweight, thoh, because they agreed at 190.
Hey, he looks like shit.
I didn't say he didn't look like shit. I just said he wasn't overweight.
Like, I think I speak for the entire black delegation that if Tyron Woodley loses this fight, he has to leave. He has to leave the country. He cannot be
his black card is revoked. Come on, man.
It's gone. If Tyron Woodley loses this fight, it is gone. Because
he getting traded.
I respect Tyron Woodley because he went for broke in his last fight and he got caught. He went for broke, but you can tell something's off with his timing is off, or he just doesn't want to really be there. He's just doing it because he's going to get paid. and he doesn't have another revenue stream right now. So that's what this is. And there could be this. I'm just throwing this out there. This could be a bigger part of a larger conspiracy with these Paul brothers getting these guys to come take the bribe and get money. Because I don't see it. You can take a bottom tier boxer, name somebody outside of the top 20. I don't think they beat any of those guys. So
shit, and they know that too. That's why. Hell no. Why do you think you don't want to fight a boxer?
Like, you can take Floyd Mayweather Sr. right now, and I think he wins a fight against either Paul brother.
And that's the thing, though. But that's where I don't like the Paul brothers, but I can't say that they're not smart. Because he's picking guys that he knows he can beat, or at least has a chance to beat.
Right.
Okay,
or
because even if he's getting paid regardless, dude. Like he got paid. I'd have to go back and look and see what the final payout was, but dude, he got paid insane because he got pay-per-view points and everything off that. They told Ben Askren before that fight, if you're going to try to negotiate pay-per-view points, we'll get somebody else.
Right, but look at the names though. Like, you're getting paid, but also you're smart enough to know, hey, I need to go get just a big enough name that'll give me the pay-per-view points, like you said. And if you're coming to
former UFC fighter, and you can say former MMA champion, that you can never take away, because whether we like his stand-up or not, Ben Askren ran Bellator. Nobody fucked with him in Bellator. When he was in one championship before they did that trade, nobody fucked with him in one FC. So, granted, did he get knocked out by Masvidal? Sure, but let's also not forget that the man was an MMA champion. And since we were just talking about pro wrestling, you talk about heel moves? Come on, man. That's about as heel as it gets. I beat an MMA champion. He's a guy who can't throw his hands for shit, but I beat an MMA champion. That's what happened.
I am not knocking it. It's
smart
business.
It's smart business, man. We're going to have to see what goes down this Friday at the Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather fight. We'll see if he survives. I hope Floyd Mayweather knocks him out, but we're going to have to stay tuned and see what happens. Why you guys got to hit that subscribe button. And as always, if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, I will show it here on the screen and shout you out on the show. And you got to stay tuned because, I mean, I heard Honor is real. There might just be a Ring of Honor sighting coming to you guys this week. So make sure you stay tuned, hit that subscribe button. You never know who you might see from Knockouts and Three Counts. And before I get out of here, I just want to say thank you to the homies from the We Got Next podcast. Let them know where they can find you, all that good stuff, and what they can be expecting from you guys. Since after I get off here, I'm going to go get next and watch NXT.
Of course, I am at _J Dello on Twitter. Said is at said_says. That is CEDD_SAYS. The show is at _We Got Next. That's NXT, like the black and yellow brand. We are the best NXT centric podcast on any damn network. If you got a problem and invite us like these nice gentlemen did, we'll pull up, defend our podcast tag team belts, and leave your stuff too as well. So we will say thank you to you two for inviting us on. We greatly appreciate it. Came in, talked a little something different, talked to AEW. We watched the other side of the track.
Excuse me, sir. You guys talk belts all you want, but we got the belts over here, homeboy. You already lost it.
Here he comes with the big gold signed by Stone Cold. But what, you know what?
Hey, look here. Don't be mad because your shit ain't signed, homie. It's all right.
This is what we're gonna do. So on behalf of said, we are extending an invite to you guys. Whenever you want to come on to the We Got Next podcast and talk NXT, hell, we'll talk AEW. Hell, we'll talk whatever you want to talk. The invite is open. It's nice to collaborate with the Blue Wire Hustle fam. It's good to, reach over and, hey, good to see you guys. So there's an open invite. Just let us know. We will set something up. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And that's all I got. Sid, you got anything else?
Everything Jacob said. So thank you guys for having us. I'm actually on vacation right now, and Jacob said there was smoke to be had. So I had to move some things around. To make sure that I showed up.
Look here, bro. You can see it for yourself. Like we said, you guys are an NXT podcast. Go check out our show with Austin Theory and look at the promo that we cut on the fine folks over at Breaking Down the Ring. Because as you can see here, or from the things that we cut for the promos for PCO, we don't give a fuck here at Knockouts and Three Counts. So, since we're going to go towards the pro wrestling end,
I'll do you one better. You want to raise a challenge? Well, I'm going to just leave it at this, and this is how we're going to end this show. Beat me if you can. Survive if we let you. Make sure you're here this Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern and hit that motherfucking subscribe button. Peace.